Many consider the Greco-Persian Wars a defining moment in European history. The Greeks versus the Persians battled in a war which affected the history of democracy, and etc. But what we need to ask is just what would have happened had Greece lost to Persia and been conquered? What would change in history? Well, that's what this video is about. First, before we talk about the implications of a Persian victory, we need to explore the history between ancient Greece and Persia. Ever wonder what happened that caused the Persians to invade Greece in the first place? Conflict between the two began in the Ionian Revolt around 499 BC. Greek cities in the region of Ionia were angry at their Persian rulers and openly rebelled against the empire. Ionians were sponsored by Athens and Eretria. The revolt lasted about a decade, but it ended in failure for the Greeks, and the Emperor Darius vowed revenge against Athens. Darius wanted punishment against mainland Greece and retaliation against Athens. All Greek cities surrendered to the Persians except for two, Athens and Sparta. Angry at this defiance, Darius invaded Greece in 490 BC. The Persians looted and burned some city-states, including Eretria, destroying temples and enslaving the populace. The Persians landed at the Bay of Marathon in an attempt to invade Athens. However, the Athenians met them on the plain. Blocking the Persians from moving onto the city, the Persians went back to their boats to find a new route. With less Persian troops and no cavalry on the land, the Athenians took their opportunity and went on the offensive. The Greeks overwhelmingly won, and the battle signified that the Greeks could win a battle against the much larger and stronger Persians. Losing the battle made Darius retreat his forces from Greece, ending the first invasion. A rebellion in Egypt diverted attention from the Greeks, allowing them time to rebuild and regroup. Darius soon died and his son Xerxes took to the throne. Xerxes built up his army for a couple years in preparation for avenging the loss at Marathon, and Persia invaded Greece for a second time. Instead of simply having Athens pay like his father did, he wished to conquer the Greeks. To get to the south of Greece, the Persians would have to cross a narrow pass at Thermopylae. King Leonidas and his 300 elite veteran Spartans defended for 2 days before being betrayed. The battle was a loss for the Greeks, but went down in legend and movies. Athens was abandoned, with its population fleeing. It was razed by the Persians. Xerxes wished for a full Greek surrender and met the allied navy at the Battle of Salamis. The strait was narrow and cramped for the large Persian navy. Once again, as they did in Marathon, the Greeks outnumbered, went on the attack, and destroyed the confused enemy navy. Xerxes retreated and the Greeks won the Battle of Salamis. Salamis set the stage for Greek victory in the following years, as they were able to stop the invasion of their homeland. After a series of other battles and skirmishes with the Persians, peace eventually was reached between the two by simply not fighting. In the West, the Battle of Marathon and Thermopylae are practically legend in the scale of importance, while Salamis was the most significant and saved Greece from Persian occupation, which brings up the question, what if history had gone differently? What if the Persians had won at the Battle of Marathon or later at Salamis? Here are two scenarios. What if the Persians won at the Battle of Marathon? Say that in this scenario, the Greeks failed to stop the Persians from marching onto Athens. The city itself could have been sacked had the reinforcement Spartans lost against the invaders. However, even if Athens and Sparta both lost, it's unlikely the Persians could have kept a hold of the land they gained. In our timeline, the Persians had trouble putting down the Ionian Revolt, so it's very likely they wouldn't hold on to mainland Greece for long. The revolts in other regions of the empire would spread Persian resources thin. It's unlikely they would succeed in this timeline. This is ironic considering how famous the Battle of Marathon is to European scholars. However, had the Greeks lost, it would have only delayed the inevitable Greek victory. Other than a butterfly effect, the most significant change in this timeline is the marathon race is never invented. The marathon race is based on the legend of Phidippides, who ran to Athens to tell of the Greek victory. No victory, no race. Which brings us to our second and more important alternate scenario. What if the Persians won their second invasion of Greece? Much more was at stake during the second invasion. The Persians wanted revenge for Marathon. In this alternate scenario, the Persians win at the Battle of Salamis and the land battle at Plataea, and move on to force a Greek surrender. Athens, Sparta, and the other Greek city-states simply cannot fight anymore and are put under the rule of the Persians. What would happen in this timeline? Well, in this timeline, the Persians occupy and sack Athens, just as they did in our timeline. Persian occupation begins in Greece, and the people are subjugated to Xerxes' rule. Athens is never rebuilt, a reminder of those who defy Xerxes' rule. If any other city-state tried to revolt, Spartan, it would meet the same fate. Just as in the earlier scenario, Greece's streak of independence would be a problem for Persia. Xerxes would need to put more energy into suppressing any rebels. How this would go is difficult to say. If Persia somehow kept a hold of Greece, many would flee across the Mediterranean to escape persecution. Greek colonies could possibly be set up in North Africa in Italy. If Persia conquered Greece, then Alexander the Great never would have rose to create his empire. Alexander spread Greek culture across the Middle East and into Palestine. Had his empire never rose, Persian influence would have been more prominent in Europe. The fate of democracy would be uncertain. However, it's unlikely it would be snuffed out by Persia. Greek culture could survive just as it did with the Ionians. It would just be not as successful as in our timeline. It's difficult to speculate how history would play out past this point. So much would change from this event, it would be inaccurate to guess. This is simply one scenario out of the many possibilities. What do you think would have happened had Persia conquered Greece? Say in the comments. Like us on Facebook and subscribe if you have not done so. This is Cody from the Alternate History Hub. This video was done in collaboration with Emperor Tigerstar, who helped co-write and create the maps used in the scenario. Check out his channel by clicking here or in the link below.